if you were to describe Startup Week to someone that doesn't necessarily know what it is, or they're from a different sector, how would you pitch it?
Yeah. Okay. So it is a 5-day and 5-night festival. So it takes place in multiple venues across Newcastle and Gateshead in the northeast of England. Each day has a different theme. So day one is Inspiration Day, because everybody needs a bit of inspiration to get started, to start something new. Doesn't matter whether you're brand new, pre-start, or an established business that's looking to be more innovative and entrepreneurial. So that's kind of the main event where people get G'd up and excited and motivated. And day two is getting started. So, okay, you've got an idea, you've been inspired, now what? How do you take those ideas forward and into the real world? What's the practical steps you need to take? Then day three is the funding and finance day. So where's the money to start or grow the business? We cover everything: grants, loans, crowdfunding, angel investment, venture capital, crowdfunding, bids and tenders. Day four is growing and scaling. So, okay, how do you take things to the next level, whatever level that is? So how do you improve on your systems and processes? How do you do better business development, sales, marketing, leadership, team, you name it, even personal mindset? How do you go grow personally? Then day five is keep going or pivot. So how do you keep going? Do you keep going? And when do you know to stop and change direction? So those very early on, that was the 5 themes that I picked out. I knew that I wanted to do this big event. From all the events I've been doing, all the experience I had, I thought 5 days, they are the 5 themes that I think that most businesses or entrepreneurs will go through, those 5 days, those 5 themes at different stages. And then people can pick and choose. They don't, obviously, if they come all 5 days, they'll get an amazing immersive experience. They'll be better equipped for what's to come. But some people will just dip in and out. Most people will come to day one, the inspiration day, and at least one other day, depending on where they're at in the journey.
Because I must admit, I was really looking forward to it. I know you were kind enough to invite me to speak on day 4, but I was genuine, just because what's really funny, and I think you might do the same, is that I go to an event, or even when I follow my wife around shopping on weekends, I look and see how people do things. So for instance, my wife loves makeup, and I look at the makeup counters and I look at how did they take the photo, how do they present the products, how do they, and almost with Startup Week, because I know how much effort you go into curating musics and layout and different things, I almost wanted to both experience the whole creative, like the whole thing, the venue. And it was, unfortunately, COVID happened. But then you moved the whole conference online. Do you want to kind of talk about that?
Yeah, sure. So obviously, the lockdown, I was gearing up for the fourth event. So like I said, the first 2 events, we had just over 600 people. Last year, we had just over 800, and I was aiming for 1,000 this year. And it was looking promising. But even though people are buying tickets in the run up, from June onwards of the previous year, the majority of the ticket sales usually come through at the end of March, from the end of March until the middle of May. So obviously that's just after when lockdown happened. So I had a decision to make. Well, obviously I can't run a physical event. So do we cancel it completely, or do we pivot and do an online event, which is what I decided to do. So basically we did a 5-day event in the original date, but we ran it all through a private Facebook group. So the way you know this because you took part and you did a great video for it. But same themes, and people had to buy a ticket for the event. Either the people already had a ticket for the physical event, or they bought a ticket just for the online version. They then were invited to join the private Facebook group, and they had 5 days worth of content, amazing content. We had about 80 videos, speakers, panel discussions, interviews across the 5 days. And then it was as close as we could get to that kind of, but nothing compares to a real life.
You had your co-host Sarah. Is it Sarah?
Yeah, so Sarah's been with me from the beginning. She brings an amazing energy to the whole thing. So we're not quite Ant and Dec, but we could do kind of work as a good double act. And,
who's the taller one, out of interest? I'm joking.
slightly taller.
But what I was going to say is that I actually really enjoyed it, and the one thing that I do like that almost lockdown has taught me is that because you're busy doing stuff, I would fit in and I'd catch up and I'd go back and watch something or I missed it. But then likewise, if I'm watching the person talk, I'll reach out to them on LinkedIn. You start the conversation. So I actually thought elements of it worked really well, although I am kind of really looking forward to, I guess when it goes back, if it ever goes back to in person kind of thing.
Yeah, well, the plan now. So at the beginning of the lockdown, I was communicating with people regularly, saying, because it was a moving, what's the word, moving feast or moving target or whatever, it was changing on an almost daily basis. But I decided, right, we'll not do a physical event until September at the earliest, because I thought realistically, I think that's when the lockdown might ease up. And in the meantime, we'll do the online event. Well, back then, September seemed like a long way away, but now it's we're here. And legally, we're not actually allowed to run a physical event. The government said they don't want any business events or conferences until the 1st of October at the earliest.
Mm-hmm.
And even then, they're very restricted what you can and can't do.
So are you thinking about pushing it till next year now? Or?
So the plan now, which I've just decided and spoken to most of the sponsors now about this, which they're all happy with, is we're just going to do the physical event in May as normal, but continue doing online events through the private Facebook group. So yeah, that's why the Founders Friday events that we used to do on the last Friday of every month, we're going to start running them again within the private Facebook group. So they'll be like a mini version of what we did in May. So that the next one is the first one since COVID is this Friday.
Oh, cool.
We're going to be